Hi, I'm Teja Gerken with Peghead Nation, and today I'm here with two more of the Taylor Legacy Collection instruments. The one I'm holding is the Legacy 514ce. I also have the 714ce here from the Legacy Collection. And I brought a couple of older Taylor guitars, a 1997 514 as well as my own 1994 712ce, just to kind of compare some of the appointments and features on these Legacy series guitars with actual older Taylor guitars. So let me start with the 514 that I've got here. To me, this is a very classic Taylor guitar. It grew out of the 20th anniversary guitar that Taylor put out in 1994, which introduced the Grand Auditorium body, which since then has become the most popular of Taylor's bodies, kind of a mid-size body design that if you've seen a Taylor in the last 30 years, that's probably what you've seen. This guitar was pretty radical at the time. It was one of very few production steel string guitars to come out with a cedar top. And when you look back at the 20th anniversary guitars that came out, it was a pair. One was a mahogany and cedar guitar, which this essentially morphed into. The other one was a rosewood and spruce guitar with the same body, and that's what introduced the whole Grand Auditorium concept. Fingerstyle guitarists immediately took to these guitars, and I've had several friends who've owned these, and I've never owned one myself, but I've gotten close to owning one a few times, and I've always enjoyed playing these, and it's been really fun to sort of get this into my hands and sort of remember what these guitars are like. Now, a quick few words about the Legacy Collection. This is a collection of 5 guitars that Taylor has recently introduced that sort of takes a look at some of its iconic models. You may have seen my demo of the 810 Dreadnought. There's also 2 Rosewood Jumbos, the 815 and 855 12-string, and these 2 guitars, which really sort of go back to the beginning of the Grand Auditorium. And as such, these guitars are X-braced rather than the V-class bracing that Taylor has used in the last few years. And of course, the 514, when it first changed to V-class bracing, was essentially this guitar with mahogany and cedar, but with V-class bracing, which brings a little different tonality to it. And I'm finding that these older designs kind of bring back a little bit more of a traditional X-brace tone with these guitars that some people might really like. I know I do. So back to the cedar top on a steel string guitar. Back in the mid-90s, there were very few makers doing that. Some of the luthiers had started to introduce it. Cedar tops have been around with classical guitars for a long time, starting with many Spanish guitar makers. I think Ramirez was really the one who popularized that. And a lot of fingerstyle players have, of course, discovered that cedar tops tend to have a really nice response, kind of a quicker response, because it's a lighter wood than spruces, and creates quite a bit of volume when played softer, great dynamic range, and combined with mahogany, you tend to get a very lively, a little bit brighter guitar with great balance. And again, I've known several fingerstyle guitarists who've played these, and I've been having a lot of fun playing this guitar. So along with bringing back the X-bracing on these guitars, we also have the appointments that guitars of this era would have had. And if we compare, for example, these 2 guitars, we can see they both have the cedar tops, this one being the one from, I believe, 1997, and mahogany back and sides. I did notice that the older guitar has a black center strip between the 2 back halves, which the newer one doesn't. Really nice striping, actually, on the newer one, on the mahogany here. Both have tortoise style binding on the body. They have the diamond style inlays. basically the same abalone rosette, white purfling on the guitars. Both have gold tuners. The old one has Grover tuners, which is what Taylor used back then. This one has the newer Taylor branded tuners. So very similar, and the guitars feel very similar. That guitar, of course, has almost 30 years of playing on it, so it's not really a fair comparison in terms of the tonality, but they sound very similar. And I've just had so much fun playing this guitar and really rediscovering these cedar mahogany X-braced grand auditoriums and the sound that they provide. Really a lovely guitar. These guitars, of course, aren't limited to playing fingerstyle. I've had friends who are singer-songwriters who play these with a pick and strum them, and really anyone who's looking for a responsive, quick guitar would really do well with one of these. I want to also take a quick look at the 714. So the 714 is really quite similar to the 514, but it has Indian rosewood back and sides. And I mentioned these two guitars sort of originally coming out and growing out of the anniversary models. I believe when these 714s first came out, they had spruce tops. For a long time, it was sort of difficult to make a tonal distinction between the 700 series and the 800 series because they both had rosewood back and sides and spruce tops, but the 700s had simpler appointments. So at some point, around the time these came out, Taylor decided to use cedar tops on the 700s for a while, and that sort of gave it a distinction that way, and that is what we're talking about with this guitar. It is from the era where 714s were built with Indian rosewood back and sides and a cedar top. And of course, again, the cedar top kind of brought it a little bit more of that fingerstyle friendly, quick response. But paired with the rosewood, you get a little bit more bottom end, a little bit more sustained, maybe a little more fundamental than you would get with the 514. Maybe a little bit more of a powerful guitar. I'm going to play them right back to back in the end of this video so you can kind of hear what they sound like that. Again, this guitar is a different body shape, but if you look at them, they both have the same kind of appointments, similar kind of basically the same rosettes, same dot inlay in the fingerboard, and black binding, white purfling. Really quite similar that way. The rosewood on mine is a little bit different colored than it is on this new guitar, which really has more to do with the particular sets than with the difference in when these guitars were built. So really fun to see these guitars bringing back some of the earlier styles and to actually look at them side by side with these two Taylor guitars that are, in the case of my guitar, 30 years old. And really the accuracy with which these have been reproduced is super fun. Now, these guitars don't seek to be exact reproductions of these older guitars. They both use Taylor's NT neck, which wasn't introduced until about 2000. There are some other construction details that are slightly different from the way these would have been when they were first introduced. But of course, all these guitars were built over a long range of years in this style with some tweaks. So in some ways, you could think that these are kind of like the combine some of the best features of all the different eras of these instruments, and maybe they're the best 714s and 514s that Taylor has ever built, because all the know-how that they've developed since first coming out with these have gone into these guitars. They use LR Baggs Element electronics with an under-saddle pickup and a sound hole mounted control unit instead of the ES2 electronics that would have the controls in the side and Taylor's own pickup installed in the bridge. And that is something that they've done on all the legacy collection instruments. So I'd say if you're a Taylor fan who's been sort of missing some of these older style instruments in Taylor's lineup, I would definitely recommend you check these out because it's really bringing back some of the most iconic Taylor guitars. If you've never played one of these older Taylors, also check them out because these guitars really just add variety to the Taylor catalog, both in terms of their appearance and sort of bringing back some of these older features and the tonality. These X-braced guitars do have a slightly more traditional sound, a different overtone spectrum than you find with the V-Class guitars. So you can really just see of it as expanding the overall tonal options that Taylor has. So I'll go out and play both of these guitars back to back. We'll sort of fade from one into the other, and we'll see how they really sound differently in terms of this 714 that I'm playing now, and I'll go back to the 514 afterwards. If you are seeing this on YouTube, please come over to pegheadnation.com and visit us there, not just for all of our gear demos, but also for a wide range of courses and lessons, not just for guitar, but many other stringed and fretted instruments. My name is Teja Gerken. I hope to see you very soon, and let's go out playing these guitars back to back.